Welcome to We Run This Town podcast, the official podcast of Gulf Winds Track Club, serving our area runners for almost 50 years. Our podcast is designed to support our runners in the Big Bend area, whether you're a beginning runner or an elite runner, offering education, entertainment, and encouragement on all topics running. Let's get running with today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of We Run This Town, the official podcast of Gulf Winds Track Club. My name's Mickey, the volunteer host. Super happy to be with our guests. I'll tell you more about who they are in just a second. Going long today, we're talking about ultra-marathoning with a couple special people. But let me get a couple announcements out of the way as I usually do. First of all, summer programming at Gulf Winds Track Club is off to a great start. Our SMERS program and our summer track series. So if you want more information, go to the website and check that out. But we're happy to see the families and the kids and little ones out there. Also, our summer meeting, our board meeting in the summer is one that's open to all the board members. So check our website for that date in mid-July. It involves pizza at Momo's. So check that out, and hopefully you can attend that meeting. And then lastly, our 250th is coming up. So July 4th in Tallahassee, the only race in town is put on by the Kiwanis Foundation. It's the Firecracker 5K and 1 mile. So check our website. Hopefully you can come out and celebrate red, white, and blue on July 4th, and hope to see you there. Now, let me introduce our guests, Jenny Early and John Baughman. How you doing?
Great. How are you doing?
All right, yeah.
Good to see both of you. They are legendary ultra runners in this area, so who better to have as guest? Legendary for a lot of reasons. I didn't say why, right?
We both rolled our eyes.
I know you did, right? But legendary nonetheless. So as we usually do, I want you to take a couple minutes, just kind of share a few things about your role in ultra running, specifically why you got into it or how you got into it, why you do it, just to give people a little idea of, where you've been in this world of ultra running, right? But we're also going to get into some trends around ultra running. We're going to talk about some advice for our listeners. As always, we want them to get some education through these conversations and maybe some encouragement and entertainment too. I bet that's going to happen. So kick us off. Jenny, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about how you got into ultra running and, why you do it.
Absolutely. So like a lot of ultra marathon runners, my journey began during COVID because there was nothing else to do but run. I was never one to do virtual challenges, but the world left us with no other option. And I just kept signing up. And so we started with a couple, a 50-mile run every 4 hours, 8.35 miles. And that was a unique format. And I got hooked. After that, I signed up for a virtual 100-miler around Tallahassee. That one was a questionable choice, not going to lie. But, once I went down that rabbit hole of ultramarathons, I knew that there was no going back.
So what is it, off the top of your head, what does it do for you, being out there that long?
I grew up playing sports my entire life, and so I was always competitive by nature, driven person, always trying to see what I could do next, how far I could push myself. And, for the longest time, road marathons, it was getting to Boston. And once I got to Boston, while I was very excited to have ran Boston, I sort of sat back and said, well, what's next? I already peaked. And I was too young to peak, in my opinion. So, that I think was the biggest thing was trying to figure out where my next challenge was. And during COVID, I back up to the Alfred Greenway trails, and I fell in love with it and realized that a 10-minute pace on a trail could feel like an 8-minute pace, depending on the terrain. And it challenged my body in a whole new level. There's no two ultras that are the same. Every single one of them is different. And even if you go back and run the same ultra the following year, depending on the, conditions, the weather, you're out there for so long that it can be 100% a completely different race than what you experienced the whole time before. Your stomach goes south. You have a hurricane that you're running through. These are all things that went and happened for me. So yes, so I love that. I know I'm going to be challenged no matter what it is, what the distance, the format. I know it's going to challenge me in a way that I haven't yet experienced.
So feeding that competitive side.
Absolutely.
There you go.
As an almost 43-year-old, I will tell you, I'm grasping the straws of the youth right now, and I like those feelings of I still got it.
Yeah. And total ultras, how many ultras have you done now? Do you have an idea?
Ooh.
Not that it matters. We're not judging, but are you like 5 or 50?
No, I would probably say about 10 from varying distances.
Okay. Awesome. Congrats on that. Thanks for that little background. John.
Yeah, so I started running again. I say again because I ran in high school and college, but was injured all the time. And so started running again when I was 35 and or maybe 36, but nonetheless, went right to ultra. My first real organized race after college was a 50-mile ultra in Illinois, and it was torture, and I fell in love with it. So what brought me to that was the book Born to Run. I run without shoes on. I run in sandals for the most part, but I run without shoes, and so reading that book made me want to run ultramarathons. So that's what brought me to it.
And what does it do for you? There are a couple words to say why you do ultras. What does it do for you?
I've been doing it a long time, and I have no idea why I do this. But, sometimes you just wake up and want to run a long way.
Yeah.
But I like to set big goals and accomplish them, and that's what a lot of this is.
Nice. And then for you, again, I think I looked up, ultra sign up for both of you. Where are you at now? Total number of ultras?
Somewhere 30 or 35, something like that.
Yeah. Officially, unofficially. Some of them don't even hit,
right.
those pages and everything else. So,
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Your sandals, right? I think you're known. Everybody knows John is the Sandals Guy. I remember Gulf Winds Track Club Runner of the Year a few years ago, right? And I didn't know you at the time, really, just knowing people when they're running.
Yeah.
And so my friends had to educate me a little bit. Oh, that's John. He's the guy that runs in sandals. I was like, what? He's running in sandals? But you also pace me at my 100. So, again,
right.
As I tell people all the time, how grateful I am for you. And I just worried about his feet out there. You stubbing your toes and, stepping on things. But you're a champ doing that. So
I pick them up.
Yeah, you do. It gets harder, though. I'm learning that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, on the trails. Okay, so let's open it up broad on ultra running, right? So what are those things that you see today in the sport itself that's standing out, like some of the trends? I know we talk about it, it can be male-dominated, but yet the gender gap apparently is closing, right? Talk about some other things that you see in ultra running compared to maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
Well, I'll say from the gender side, I mean, what Rachel just did at the Cocodona 250, and for the listeners who aren't aware of it and haven't gone down that rabbit hole of following ultras, she really broke down the barriers. She was first overall, crushed the males, set the record, and we're seeing that with Courtney Dillwater. All of these women are breaking down these gender gaps because the thing that I love the most about ultra running is you're out there for a long time, and eventually it becomes a game of strategy, but also where fueling really plays a huge part, and your ability to suffer. And it's not so much as with the marathon or the shorter distances where there's still, physical attributes that can affect your race, your, fast twitch muscles, your, lactate threshold and all of that. And an ultramarathon with these women, they were like, I'll suffer with the best of them. Maybe that's why we give birth. I don't know. But
Yeah, it's a good
they
point.
are really closing the gap between men and women. And it's phenomenal to see. I mean, these younger girls are being able to grow up really looking at these female runners and knowing the sky's the limit. So that's something that I've really enjoyed seeing. These women are just pure badasses. So
Yeah, no, great point. And I've seen that, especially over 200 miles, apparently, women are really outperforming the men. And it goes back to being able to suffer.
yes.
I mean, that's 200-mile races are anywhere from 3 days, 5 days, or more, just depending on where it is and all of that. But that's certainly something to be happy about. Her performance was just crazy.
And I mean, yes, I definitely look to them as role models, but as anybody who runs with me, especially during an ultra, I become a whiny crybaby at times. I will, scale back and still continue to suffer, but no, I'm definitely not as strong as them. But I'm going to get there maybe.
There you go. John, what do you think? What are you singing out there in ultras now?
Some of this conversation actually speaks to it. When I started ultra running, 100 miles was a pretty big number in the ultra scene, and it just seems like 150, 200, 250, 350 is sort of the direction that everything is going. And the popularity of this sport has grown so much. There's just so many more people in it than there were 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So, the 200 is starting to be looked at like that's the new 100. It used to be something pretty rare when someone would finish 100 miles. But I really believe that every runner that's listening to this could go out and run 100 miles. They just have to train themselves to do it.
Okay. That scares me. Yeah, because I've only done 100, and I thought it was enough, but it's probably not. But why do you think, though, people are looking to go that further distance now? Why is the 100, just, oh, well, right? Why is it 200 and 250 now? What's driving people to do more of that?
Well, I think a lot of us who love to run the longer distances or just a lot of miles, we're not right in the head. I mean, there's definitely something off about us, always chasing that next thing. And, I think what John said was right. Now the 100's very, not common. I wouldn't say common, but
Sure.
People know of it and they see the finishers or they see the strategic walk or power hike, as we like to call it.
Yeah.
And they see, oh, this is doable. Really, if you are able to pace yourself and be strategic in how you break down that time, anybody can really finish a 100-miler. And so then the 100-milers are like, okay, well, what's next? And I agree. I remember the first time hearing and doing 100, the thought of a 200 was like nowhere near my bucket list. You name it. But, I was watching Cocodona and I was like, hey, to my running partner, I'm like, maybe that's something I should look at. And never in my wildest dreams, even 5 years ago, would that have been on my radar.
This was the first year I had any FOMO, and I actually dreamed about being out there this year. So, I've watched the live stream Cocodona, but yeah, this was the first year I actually thought, well, maybe I should go do that. But I'm not going to.
Not yet. Well, I think both of you kind of hinted too. I've heard an expression, a natural prescription, right? A lot of folks are going to these longer because of the mental health aspect to these longer runs and what it does. Do you all feel that too? Does it help you?
I can't really speak to that because I think that I think people that run multi-day events are screwed up in the head.
So second time today, we're not right in the head. No, and I agree with that, but I know, like for me, regardless of distance, really, I guess running for me is mental.
Absolutely.
Right? It provides a lot of clarity for me. I resolve a lot of issues. I think about a lot of different things. But the 100-mile or 200, you're out there for 20 hours, 24, 36 hours. So what kind of mental space are you going to go through?
Yeah. And, I like to spend a lot of time alone in the woods. I actually kind of enjoy to be in my own head. But the other thing on the 100 to 200 that I think you're seeing, there was a lot of planning going into your hundreds, but it's been done so many times now that you can read about it or talk to people, and you're not breaking new ground. As to where, when you go into a multi-day event, you're going to be out there 3 days. You don't know what your body is going to do when you sleep for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's the problem-solving aspect of ultra running. It's just that next step. People want to solve another puzzle. And so that's why we're going to longer and longer races, I think.
Nice. Okay. So let's talk about races, the types of races. So before we get to the advice and all that, let's foundationally tell some people about these ultra runs. So what are the distances typically? What are the terrains that we're dealing with? And Jenny, if you want to do half of them, I'll let John do half of them. Yeah.
I think everybody looks to the 50K as the first stepping stone, just because when you think, it's really not that much farther than the marathon. And the 50K seems doable because, especially when putting in a marathon block, the training is not very different for a 50K. Now, I say that with an asterisk because it depends on what 50K you sign up for. If you sign up for the Tallahassee one, which is on the roads, it is basically a marathon with just some, fun miles at the end. But if you sign up for Mountain Mist in Alabama, you have got to work on your upper body strength as you try to pull yourself up off limbs along a water line on a straight vertical climb. I've done a 50K in the middle of the state where I spent so much time in the sand that I thought I was auditioning for Baywatch. So I really, I think the 50K is a good step up, but it really the runner just needs to look at the type of terrain and adjust accordingly. Okay. But I would say after the 50K, the next people start dancing around the 50-miler. In this state, there are, the Colt 40, and there are other distances because they're looped courses. So, right. It would be one more loop of the 50K course. And so anywhere between you're cresting that 40-mile going to 60 miles is really your next step up. And then after that, you got the 100K and the 100-mile. And I'll let John touch that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 50K, of course, the most popular entry. The data proves that out. But also the 50-miler is picking up some attendance. And then, of course, the 100-miler year after year. And let's just say for our listeners, this sport has, I think, increased by like 1,700% in popularity over the last 10 years. It has completely exploded. So continue on that, John, the rest of those distances, ultra races, types of races.
Yeah, so the 100K, that's your 62. And then 100-mile, I think people a lot of times go right from that 50 to the 100. I remember after my first 50, I laid with my feet up on the couch and I was telling my wife, there's no way that anyone should ever go twice that distance. But, then I did, eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the 100-miler, and now people are doing multi-day, so up into 150 miles, 200, 250s, 350s. It's crazy.
Backyard.
Yeah, backyard can go on forever.
And then backyards, tell our listeners about that. What is the backyard? What's the difference?
So a backyard is a little over 4 miles. I think it's it's like 4.25. Mm-hmm. And you have to be at the starting line every hour on the hour, and you run a loop every hour. And so that can go on until the last person doesn't make it.
And then you have to. You have to do that one last loop.
You have to do one to win, but I'll tell you, they have been going days and days and days.
Harvey Lewis dropped, 5-6 days?
That's crazy.
They're cresting well over 300 miles.
Yeah. I saw that one last year when Harvey, I guess, he came in second officially. But, yeah, they did 5 days or something. It was a ridiculous number. So that's the backyard, which is the definitive 4 miles and something over and over. But there's also last man standing ones, and those can be any distance, right?
Typically they do the backyard distance,
Okay.
but if it's a super challenging course, sometimes you might have a little shorter distance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one in Tennessee. They did a documentary on it on Netflix. I am drawing a blank on the name, but it's insane climb, but it's a shorter distance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a little over 2 miles or something, but people were struggling to get back in a certain amount of time. And I mean, the Tennessee Mile, there you go. It's that easy of a name.
You had it. It was
I
right
know.
there.
But I would say, if you haven't ventured down any of the ultra documentaries or Netflix, everywhere from Barclays, the Tennessee Mile, there are amazing like Netflix documentaries and all that will get you sucked in.
Yeah.
And that is the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden then you're like, oh my gosh.
And you're
then-
signing up. Yeah. Look, I watched a lot of YouTube videos of other races before I got into ultras. I watched some of the 50Ks, because people were putting their story about how they trained and everything else out there. But for me, it helps me see, the course. That really helped me watching those.
And I think also that's why this sport has grown so much is that, all this media is at your fingertips. Mm-hmm. So it's not this big, scary thing that you're reading in a, trail magazine. You're literally able to go on and see somebody's GoPro over the entire course, and you can start, breaking it down and say, wait a minute, I can do that. Here's how I will do it, because there's the surprise element, the unknown makes it, is taken away, which makes it more manageable.
Yeah. And two, when you talk about terrains, right? So 50Ks, you got road, you mentioned that. We are so blessed in Florida. We have great trails, right? And
Tallahassee,
but you two know the trails around here better than I do, or the state, right? But you can run races literally on sand, dirt, straw, rock, right? Anywhere in the state of Florida. Was that a true statement?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a varied footing all around the state for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you just finished Big Scrub, which is 150 miles, right?
Right.
And based on what I learned, I mean, that terrain changed, right?
Yeah, so that was all Florida trail, but several sections of it were sugar sand. Mm-hmm. Several sections were, buffed out pine forest, single track, just beautiful trail that, you want to lay down and take a little nap in. It's so nice. But and then even to paved trails to finish that race out.
Yeah, like St. Mark's Trail, obviously paved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But right outside of that, you've got Munson and all these other places. So we're spoiled by that. But I would say, just recognize what race you're going to do, because what was it, the Big 50 I did in Pine Mountain, Georgia? Like, there's true mountain 50Ks.
Right.
And it is nothing like running on the road. I mean, the pace that you go and just the penalty you pay on rocks and roots and, how many times you might fall and all those things, right? So if you were to say your first race, what would you suggest? For the first race for somebody of 50K, what would you suggest?
Well, I love the Yeti trail runners. Mm-hmm. They put on great races that are very manageable for the back of the pack, the party pack, mm-hmm. the middle, you name it. Jason Green, the race director, does an amazing job, and he travels to all different areas right outside of Atlanta to Jekyll Island, and then, of course, Southwest Virginia. I think his races are a good starter, and he has distances of all different, variety, just because he has in mind every type of runner.
Nice.
And it's a very supportive community. And so that was my first introduction into the ultra world, was through his races. And I couldn't have found a better way to become obsessed.
Nice. John, what do you add to that?
As in 50K?
Yeah.
It's so I don't know a lot about 50K.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Sure.
I would say, I've had such wonderful experiences with the Central Florida people. The skunk ape races are just very well run, very supportive bunch of people. Joe Fuller down there has the Skunk Ape Revenge 60K, which is a nice distance. He's also got a 30K, which is 17 or so miles. That's an excellent way to get an idea of what trail running is like.
Nice. Yeah, in Sombrero, Mike Martinez, I've done, one of his races. I'm doing another one in a few weeks. So a good group of people.
The Colt race is good too.
Yeah.
I believe they may have a 50K distance. I did the 60-miler portion of it, but I think they have a 50K, 40, and then 60.
So,
and that's Central Florida, and it was great. It was a looped pattern so that your family crew can support you without it being too daunting on them.
And that's A1.
Yeah, that's A1 racing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so where do I find these races that we're going back and forth on? If I wanted to find one, where do I go? Where can I find all these ultras?
Well, definitely ultra sign up, but I find them. I like mine off of Instagram. I start following people, then I see other people like Joseph Fuller. I follow him, and then I see people posting about races that I didn't know about, especially when my ultra running Tallahassee people start saying that they're interested in a race. And I'm like, well, what's that race they're interested in? Maybe I should look it up.
Nice.
Yeah, I think, we get friends in this community and we like to peer pressure each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, if I've got one friend who's going to do this or going to do that, a lot of times that's what leads me to my next race.
Okay. Yeah, Ultra Sign Up is where I do most of mine, but there are other places. Running USA has a calendar with marathons and ultras, but just find it. If not, ask members in the club. They'll tell you. Speaking of ultras, I'd love for y'all to share a little bit about the vibe of ultras, right? So I'm a road runner, always have been, right? Marathons, racing. Tell our listeners about the vibe and the community around them. And if you know the history of the buckles, like why we have buckles. And I get that question a lot. Like 100-milers is not for 50K, but touch on that a little bit, the vibe and the history and the buckles.
Well, I'll let John talk about the history of the buckle, but I will say that was because, we all laugh. Every runner, they finish and they just want the medal and the banana. Well, I knew I couldn't get a buckle without running a 100-miler, and I had buckle envy. I did. And so I signed up for a 100-miler because I wanted my buckle, which is pretty sad, but that's okay. I would say
they look great though.
They look
buckles.
great.
Come on now.
And I will say the biggest difference, I was a road runner like you, Mickey, and it was every time I would finish, whether it was a 5K, you name it, the first question out of somebody's mouth was, well, what time did you run it in? Mm-hmm. And I started getting caught up on that defining me and my running. And it became where every single run was about the pace, hitting the markers, drilling down into the splits and, getting faster. And, especially if you're getting older, that's not going to always equate, But once during COVID, when I went over to trail running and then ultra running, no one really asked me, well, what did you run it in time-wise? Mm-hmm. Because everybody who is out there suffering with you knows that, they're more concerned about what did you think of that, waterline climb? Or did you see the rock garden? Mm-hmm. Those boulders, if I saw another boulder, I'd scream. They're commiserating with you, but also they know that time is irrelevant in an ultra. And, I mean, sure, there are certain markers, if I'm going to toe the line, regardless of how tough the course is, I'm going to try to be in the, front of the pack. Not the leader. I mean, that's let's be honest. But I know where I stand, and I'm going to push myself as hard as I possibly can. But still, no matter if I finish, in the top 3 or 5th or, no one comes up to me and asks me, well, what time did you get? Yeah. So I realized that I was more than just a pace. Yeah. It was how overall tough I was to battle it out. And that is the vibe of the ultra. Everybody is super accepting. I mean, never have I seen a sport celebrate their dead last runner more than their first place runner. First place runners in an ultra, you may just have a volunteer sitting there because it's in the middle of the night to hand you, your medal, buckle, and trophy.
Right.
Whereas the last person in that golden hour to cross the line, there is a human hand arch, there are noisemakers, and people are in tears because, they're seeing these people who have fought twice as long, mostly, to make it to that finish line. And that was just such a shift in mentality that I noticed from the ultra runners to the road runners. And I love my road runner friends. I still am a road runner at certain things, but it's just definitely, it's a different vibe. It's a very relaxed, chill vibe.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen all of that, and I've only done 5 at this time, as of now. But the 100-miler, I'll go right to what you said. I was so inspired from those others, because when we were finishing, 19 hours, 20 hours, it's still a long time. There were people out there that still had up to 5 loops, and they were by themselves.
Yeah,
they didn't have a pacer, but they finished. I was inspired by that. So, and of course the post-race celebration stuff, they don't really do that kind of stuff in these ultras, stand up on a stage and call out all the age groups and all that. They just go, here you go. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So John, anything to add on the vibe, but also share a little bit about the buckle history and why we get buckles for the 100-mile ultra.
Yeah. I would just totally repeat what Jenny said, as far as, it's a laid back, old school sort of, just everybody is in this together. You're competitive with your friends, but in the middle of a race, everybody is working together. You're not trying to compete with someone. For the most part, you're competing with the course and yourself. And it's funny, ultra running, I mean, the same course, you can run 8 hours slower the next year than you did the previous year, and it's just that's what it was that day. So, so the belt buckles, many years ago in the 70s, there was a race in California. It's called the Tevis Cup, which is a horse race, a 100-mile horse race starts at Lake Tahoe and ends south of there. I can't think of the name of the town, but the legend is, and whether this is all true or not,
it's okay.
Gordy Ainsley, his horse came up lame, so he made the decision to run the race without the horse. And in horse racing, they give you a belt buckle as a reward. And so he ran the race, he finished the race, and got his belt buckle, and that's how we started getting belt buckles. And that race became the Western States Endurance Run, which is, I wouldn't say the pinnacle, but it's a race that a lot of ultra runners look to as something they would like to do in their career at some point. Yeah.
And I've only watched it a handful of times myself, again, looking for inspiration, but then being brought back to reality. I don't know if I'd ever do that race, because that's crazy. Just what is the water piece in that race? Rookie Chucky or something?
Yeah,
is that
Rookie Chucky.
Where you got to cross the river, right?
Yeah, and sometimes, it's a nice little jaunt across this, little babbling stream, and then other times
you're waist deep.
Yeah, you're waist deep or in a boat.
Yeah, they have to put you in a boat sometimes.
Because it's so
really?
dangerous, yeah.
No way, thanks. So thanks for the history lesson on the buckles. So
I saw 30 beautiful miles out there before they pulled me off the course.
Congratulations. You've been there. You started. We'll be right back. Hey, friends. I've been a member of Gulfwinds Track Club now since, I believe, 2007. And I became a member is because I was running 1 mile a day, 2 miles a day. And I owe everything to Gulfwinds Track Club to get me to where I am today as a runner. The fellowship, the friendships, the relationships, whatever you want to call it. But, it's also the learning. I got to train with others. I got to ask a lot of questions. I got to witness growth in others, and all because of the club. I've had lifelong friends, and we've traveled to places and done special races, and now my entire family, we're all members of Gulfwinds Track Club. So I invite you to visit gulfwinds.org, become a member too. Now, back to the show. Your favorite buckle just tell our listeners, what's your favorite buckle that you have?
Yeah.
Mine is definitely from the Yeti 100, and it was because it was my hardest race. And anybody who remembers Hurricane Ian, I fled Tallahassee. The hurricane was going to hit here, and I went up to Southwest Virginia, only for the hurricane to go out into the Atlantic, gain some steam, and come back and join the party. So that was a very, very hard 100-miler. The first 50 was beautiful, and then, as I said, Ian joined the party. And so the torrential downpours coming in sideways, I started breaking down into hypothermia. And I was in shorts. That's another mistake. But I had to fight. I wanted to drop 10,000 times. Luckily, there was no cell service, so I knew if I stopped at any point, I was stuck up a mountain. Yeah. And so I just kept pushing forward. And that one was also where my pride got put in check. I was leading the race through, by mile 50, and stomach went south, started vomiting, and couldn't hold anything down, as I said, the hyperthermia. And so I dropped a lot of places. And in ultra running, pride can be the biggest enemy that you'll face, because you soon start to say, I was number one, and making these, I stink, why am I even out here? And you've got to go through 30 conversations in your head of the reasons why to keep going. And that was one race where I was freezing uncontrollably. I didn't see my crew for a very, very long time, and the trail was washing into a river. So each footing was scary and dangerous, and I had to tell myself, just take another step. And so that is by far my favorite buckle, because I somehow died and was reborn probably like 5 times that race. Yeah. And when I finished, not only did I hit my goal of sub 24 hours, but the life that I lived getting there, it was the most rewarding experience. I had my dad there. It was really great.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. The pain you go through, right? But that's
and then we sign up again.
And then we sign up again. How about you, John? What's your favorite buckle?
It's funny. I bet 50% of my DNFs are from pride. Really.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not where I think I ought to be, and so it's like, why am I even here? Yeah, it's interesting.
That is the biggest mental struggle in an ultra.
Yeah. So, I think for me, a lot of the times my favorite buckle is the last one.
Sure.
Or the next one. But so right now, my favorite buckle is the Big Scrub 150 buckle. It's beautiful. It's big. It's got lots of bronzy colors on it, and it's got the Florida Trail on it, which I'm in love with the Florida Trail right now. Yeah. So that's Combat Racing, Joe Miller's race. And he put a lot of love into that buckle. It's all German silver. It's beautiful. And it's sitting right in the middle of a pile of other buckles that, if I didn't have that one there, the one before it probably would be the best one. Yeah. The Across Florida 200 buckle is a giant dinner plate buckle. It's cool looking, but it's not pretty,
right. Sure.
As to where that Big Scrub buckle is, it's pretty. What's funny, I've got 3 long haul buckles all sitting together, and the one that is not the sub 24 buckle is probably more important to me than the 2 that are sub 24. And that's because I got to suffer like really bad to finish that race. And so, it's interesting. You look at them, they all mean something.
Yeah. I only have one. So
I'll say that, but in ultra running in general, yes, the buckle is typically reserved for 100 or more. But for the listeners who are breaking into the ultra world at those the lower distances, the prizes are so cool and none of them are the same. You know, I have a skateboard deck. Like, I got a skateboard deck for one of my races. There's one in Florida where it's a handcrafted, ceramic cool mug that the local artist made. Over at the A1, it was, hand-carved wood that they then, gave you. So I really feel like with the ultra world, people really dip into their communities and what's, important to them and and what area they want to showcase of their beautiful part of the world. And I will say that that's fun knowing that you're finishing and who knows, maybe you'll get a tomahawk or, the prizes are all across the board.
Nice. Yeah. And I want to, next we're going to talk about the advice piece, but I want to make sure I mention, add on, Jenny, the community piece to the ultras. Because, when I was getting into it, you and Tom and Kyle and Ryan and John and others were always available for a conversation. Like, I would just ask questions. Hey, what about this? Hey, what about this? Sometimes Kyle wouldn't tell me the complete truth about the big 50 that I did, but
not technical at all.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. The most rocky course in the country. No, but so I appreciate that. And Gulf Winds, that's what it provides to our members, right? Is a community of people, whether it's those that are doing the mile races or those that are doing ultras. Find that group and talk to them and take advantage of the knowledge and things that these people have.
Well,
right?
And just like you said, you were running your 100 looking for pacers and, you didn't know John well. And he hopped in, and, that is the ultra community. Yeah. I see it all the time, on the Yeti, forum, on different, like the Run, but like different groups. They'll say, hey, is anybody going to be in this area that want to do a couple loops with me, for my race? Or, they don't know these people. Mm-hmm. And you just put it out there and you just get this this feedback and this sense of community. They're like, oh, yeah, I got you. I'll be your crew. You don't even know this person from Adam, but they're genuinely wanting to help you. And that's something that it gives you faith in humanity. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's also a little bit selfish to go out and pace people. I'll be real honest with you because I just enjoy meeting people and they're in such a raw and exposed situation when they're 68 miles into a 100-miler that you're never going to get to meet them like that. And really get to know them, unless you go out there and be with them while they're suffering.
I'll tell you, John, you may not want to pace me. I have been known to throw a payday back at you if you try to make me eat, and I've been vomiting. I can become an angry little runner.
There you go.
We know how to deal with toddlers.
Yeah, we do. Wow, that's a good one. Yeah,
no, I'll fully admit it.
It's a good point. Is that vulnerability, right? When you're out there for that long, because you're going to peel away the onion, and that's part of what I enjoy with the ultra. You and I were chopping the wood together, right, for almost 20 hours, and the things we shared and said, maybe nobody else is going to hear that, and that's okay. It stays there.
Especially if you're hallucinating.
Oh, yeah. Fortunately, knock on wood, I didn't in that one. Let's hope I don't do it in the next one. Okay, so best for last, right? Advice for those listening that want to get into ultra running and racing or get better at it or whatever. But from a standpoint of training, nutrition, and again, we could probably be here for another 3 hours. There's a lot you could share based on your experience, but, crews, what is that primary advice you'd give the folks that want to be an ultra runner when it comes to food, nutrition, training, crewing, and all of that?
I'll go first. I'm a full-time working mom, and my kids' sports, they take up a lot. Their activities, you name it, and I also I have very limited time, to squeeze in these training runs. And when you're getting into ultra running, it's very easy to find a ton of training plans. And the back-to-back, you'll hear a lot of the plans refer to that as where you do two back-to-back long runs to, help your legs, feel that tiredness. And it is a really great workout. But as a working mom, I'll tell you, my training plan was never perfect. didn't have the luxury to be able to say, okay, well, it's the weekend. I'm going to be gone, both days of the weekend for 5 or 6 hours. See you guys later. Have fun. And so being flexible with the training plan is going to be crucial for those getting in who may be in the same boat that I'm in. You may have to do a double. If you don't have time to be gone for 5 hours in one day, then maybe you wake up, knock out, a mid-run, or a mid-distance run in the morning, and then do it, again in the evening. Being flexible and understanding that time on your feet is the most valuable thing that you could possibly do for an ultra, aside from also honing in on nutrition, which is still not my strong suit. But I would say definitely being flexible with your training plan, and also understanding that walking is okay. Walking is a power move. It will is very strategic. It does not make you a bad runner. In fact, it makes you a better runner depending on where you place it. And that ties into the pride, especially if you're coming from roads, because you just have known, unless you did the Galloway method, you've known that, no, I shouldn't be walking. I've trained better than this. Well, it's different for an ultra. Walking breaks, getting nutrition down while you're walking, those are all things that are very important to train your body and understand that. So what if someone sees you walking? Oh, well, you're walking in the woods. What could be better? And so
nobody else is out there.
And so, that's those are just my two big things.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's great advice as far as the walking goes. I think sometimes as runners we think, oh yeah, we got to be running all the time, but yeah. Absolutely. My fastest races have had planned walks all the way through them. So, yeah, I would say if you have the time for it, then building up and doing those doubles at the start for a beginner is really great. Build a huge base, and then you can spring from that into not really needing to do that much. I know when I started, I would do a lot of back-to-back runs, 30, 35, Saturday, Sunday, and I put a lot of volume on, and now I might do 35 or 40 miles a week, and I just use the last ultra to spring into the next ultra rather than beating myself up all the time. Of course, the older we get too, the less volume really our body should be taking. And then the other thing I would say is when you walk like you're late to school,
Absolutely.
Walk like you mean it. Eating, I would practice eating. I would practice eating real food because I think it makes a huge difference to be able to eat real food rather than just trying to, 50 miles on goose is terrible.
Right.
And you'll hate yourself for it.
Yes, you will. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, eating real food goes a long way, and then practice eating, walking. I don't remember the next thing.
Yeah. Find your love of Little Debbie's.
Stop.
I kid you not. And Mickey Hayes' I would be like, oatmeal cream pies are the secret. That and Coca-Cola, the secret jet fuel for ultras. I'm telling you, anybody would have told me back in my marathon days that I'd be sitting there shoving an oatmeal cream pie and a shot glass full of Coke down my throat mid-race. Yeah. I would have thought you were crazy, but it is secret and it is amazing.
Well, but to John's point too, you practice those things, right?
Yeah.
Because race day, if you've never had a Little Debbie, it might not be the time to try it, right? Because I've been there. Like I've done all those. I've done the Little Debbie's. I love Oreos. Uncrustable is my go-to. But to your point, John, you've got to eat something different. You can't just do gels and little candy gels or whatever
your body
else.
Will hate
goose.
You.
Yeah, because you can only do so much with that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's certainly a big deal.
I'd also say experiment.
Yeah.
This sport is still somewhat experimental. Mm-hmm. And so experiment. Do something different. Not every, we're not built to all follow the exact same training plan. Do what works for you and try things. Like I think that the calisthenics for me has been a game changer as far as my ultra running. It's just being in shape in a different direction, you know?
Yeah.
And John, I definitely agree with that because I've tried to do the same training plan as, say, my running partner. I'm not built like him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. It got me, I finished. It was great, but it beat me up. I was, it demanded a lot on me. And so then I started tweaking and realizing that maybe I don't need to get to 86 miles in a week. Maybe,
Right.
Maybe I could scale it back. But instead, if my race is in the mountains, doing, very slow or hiking repeats is going to be more beneficial than just logging that many more miles, just for the base. It just be experimental. Definitely branch out. Look at the race that you're also looking at. I mean, that's going to be huge. I mean, the mountain races, I definitely don't train for a mountain race the same way I train for, the 100-mile
Right.
and, on a rail to trail race.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I'll add to something John said, that foundation, you build the time, and you said time on your feet, right? What worked for me was transitioning, knowing I was doing this from marathon season and doing then my first ultra, because I had the base of
Yes.
the marathon training, and then I just picked it up a teeny bit for a 50K. Now, once I got to the 50 miler and 100, yes, it was much different, but over time you build that foundation, time on your feet, so that tiredness is not so far away. It's not immediate. It'll give you some more distance, but all of that is great advice. And I would just encourage our listeners, reach out to John, Jenny, anybody else that you know in the club or even don't know. If you know they do ultras, ask them some questions. That's what we're here for. Great advice. Thank you both. And, hopefully I'll be running another ultra here soon with one or both of you. I still owe you a pace. I'm going to try to figure it out. If you hadn't have done it on Mother's Day weekend, I could have maybe come down the big scrub. That would have been interesting since you did scare a bear versus a bear scaring you. And that's another time, another conversation. But I'm glad you're here to tell the story. Let me say that. Thank you both for being on our We Run This Town podcast from Gulf Winds
thank you.
Track Club. Take care, and I look forward to seeing y'all soon. Thank you for listening to today's episode of We Run This Town podcast, the official podcast of Gulf Winds Track Club. For more information on the club, whether that be membership, upcoming races, or to listen to more episodes, visit gulfwinds.org. Remember, whether you're an elite runner or a beginning runner, together we run this town.